feels like home. And I'm not talking about geographical. I'm talking about where you are in your life. Don't you want that? Come on. You know, we all want that. We all want to be able to. That's just a sweet feeling to be at home with yourself. That's really what God wants for you. He really does. So this morning we're going to continue our sermon series, Possess the Land. Now, that sounds, like I said before, that sounds geographical, but it really isn't. It really is, it's what space is in front of you. It may be emotional, it may be spiritual, it may be psychological, it may be intellectual, it may be physical, it may be geographical, but what is in front of you that you haven't yet got there yet? Can I tell you, God is saying, I want to go forward with you. It's like, well, I can't do that. If you've ever said that I can't do that, that is exactly the truth. You can't. That's why you need God to go with you to do what He's calling you to do. Sometimes He calls you to do the impossible so that you have to have a relationship with Him. Doesn't that make sense? Paul said this. He said, don't you understand? God uses the foolish to confound the wise, the weak to confound the strong, the things that don't even exist to confound the things that exist. God chooses the things that aren't able to accomplish what He's calling you to do because He wants the glory. Yes, that's what I believe. You people are way excited. So, if you want, just for a few moments, we're going to kick up the lights a little bit, and we have a 3-minute plan for you, okay? Now, I know some of you are like, oh, man, we just sat down. No, actually, you sat down about 10 minutes ago. I know how time flies. But we're going to go ahead and kick up the lights a little bit, and what I'd like you to do is to share with those around you a greatest failure or a greatest success. Now, I realize your temptation is this. Oh, I know this person, so I'm going to share with them. I know, and that's such a weenie way to go, and I'd be embarrassed to do that. I'd look around and find someone that I've never seen before and go up and do this. Hi there, my name's Jay, and this idiot of a pastor wants me to share with you something of my greatest success or my greatest failure, and this is the greatest failure I've had in my life. Blah! And you have exactly, shall we all stand? Stand, everyone that has good legs, stand. If not, God takes them away from you. Yes, smart people. You have 3 minutes. Go ahead and go across the room, find someone, and share your greatest success or your greatest failure. Come on, come on. Chop, chop. Introduce yourself and share your mind. There's a young couple up here that's just sitting here. Go. Some of them rate them. Go over here. Go over here. Go. Pull Diane in this conversation. There you go. All right, 2 minutes. By the way, there's a lady back. Her name's Ashley. Dawn, you can turn around and talk to Ashley. Grab her right there, right there. She's
I don't know what team's
All right, 1 minute.
Oh, okay.
All right, about 30 seconds left. All right, 5 seconds. If you go start finding your seat, I've got a 2-hour sermon and I'm not afraid to use it if you don't sit down. All right. All right, just real quick, throw it out here. What's your greatest success? What's some greatest success? Just throw them out.
My children, good kids.
Children, good kids. Yes. What is it? Husband. You've trained him well. There you go, Paula. All right, way to take pride in your work. Lon, your name should have been Clay. All right. Someone else, greater success. Come on,
My
success.
son in prison.
What is it?
My son in prison.
Your son
He
in
found
prison.
the Lord.
Okay, found the Lord. Yes. Whatever it takes, Jesus. All right. Anybody else?
My career.
Your career, good. You've invested, great. Good to see fruit from your labors. All right, now let's get a little more quiet. How about some of your greatest failures? It's a little more quiet than usual.
Telling myself that I can't when I know I can with God.
Amen.
Telling yourself, absolutely, and that's an identity issue. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Disobedience. Yeah. We can all relate with that, can't we?
Yes.
Seriously, I mean, it takes on different forms. There are times that we are not acting like a child of God. We're really acting like a child of hell. And we think, oh, Lord, I'm so sorry. If you will, man up, lady up, and go to that person and say, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. I was wrong. Guys, listen. You're far from perfect, but you know what? You're not above restitution and making things right. Yay for what Jesus did for us, but you have got to have a dog in the hunt. You've got to go make it right because God is giving that ability. If it's your responsibility, if you have the ability to respond, do you understand it's your responsibility? If you have the ability to respond to make something right that you were part of making it wrong, you need to make it right. Yeah, Lon, you raised your hand.
Concerned for failures was thinking that I could find God by myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I can do this. I'm a good guy. Yeah. And we realize that good guy mentality is the one that grabbed the hammer and hammered the first nail in Jesus. Because self-righteousness is exactly what nails him to the cross. Yeah. So, all right. We're going to go ahead and kind of press on. So, once again, just want to let you know that we've touched on this, and thanks for sharing your successes and failures. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to take you to a place that you experience some of your failures and some of your successes. Because really, as we jump into Joshua 8, we see that's exactly what Joshua is doing. Now, from our perspective, from the Western Hemisphere, we may not see that very quickly. But what I'd like to do is this morning spend a little bit of time and just walking through it. We're going to go a little historical, but the historical is the fact that Joshua is drawing from the memories of those who have been taught about Abram and Jacob and Isaac. They had been taught about the patriarchs. And Joshua is using those memories to stir something within them. Now, as we look at this, remember, up to this point, that Joshua, they have gone into the promised land. Remember, they went through the river Jordan, and the water stood up, the hydrogen and oxygen became solid and stood up like a wall, and they walked through on dry ground, and as they went through the riverbed, Joshua told one man from every tribe to grab a stone, a rock, a boulder, if you would, as big as he could, and to carry it out of the riverbed, and they were just stacking up. Why? So that the kids, as time went by and the water returned to its regular patterns, that the mound of rocks would still be there. And Joshua specifically says, put the rocks there so that when your children and your children's children say, Grandpa, what do these rocks mean? You can share with them. This is what God did for us. So they wanted the mound of rocks to be a memorial about God's greatness. And these mounds of rocks show up and periodically all through the book of Joshua. But remember this, that at one point, as he came through the river Jordan, the very first city they faced was Jericho. And Jericho, such great stories, right? Isn't that exciting? God says, listen, I want you to do something. I want you guys to walk around the city once a day. It's like, yes, Lord, we'll do that. And the priest is going to go in front of you, and in my presence, the Ark of the Covenant will be carried. And I want you guys to follow at a distance between the Ark of the Covenant. I want you to be quiet. And quietly, all of Jericho was locked up. And they were fearful because they knew the might and the power of God. And we walked around Jericho, and as we walked around Jericho, we were silent. And you could almost hear like a twig break. It was so quiet. And the whole city was like scared to death, and it was quiet. And we did that day after day. We did that for 6 days. And like on the seventh day, God said this, I want you to walk around the city 7 times. And as they walked around the city 7 times, they went around the 7th time. And God told the priest to blow the trumpet. And when you hear the trumpet of God, I want you to all shout. And so we walk, and it's all quiet. It's still quiet. They're scared to death. And all of a sudden we hear the trumpet blow, and all of Israel scream, God! And when the walls came down, it was incredible. You can just see the kids sitting on the edge of their seats. See, that's perpetuating. That's building a fabric in their faith. That's not like silk or nylon. It's like dungarees. Remember dungarees? Am I the only one? Oh, they were the blue jeans that you could put in the corner and the knees never bent. You know? Remember? I mean, it was like bulletproof. I think they should have had those back when gangs and all that was bad. It was bulletproof. It was incredible. It was tough. We weave into our kids' life this fabric about how great our God is. And this isn't something that's trite or sissified. This is what men and women of God stand for, and there's some spittle going on when they're communicating this to you, and you can tell they're passionate about it. And you think, man, if I ever get it, that's what I want. We love the Jerichos, don't we? But you know what? There's always some AIs. And that's not AI, artificial intelligence. That's a whole other sermon that has nothing to do with this one. It's actually a town called AI, okay? And in AI is where they went and they looked and they said, oh man, look what we just did at Jericho. We don't need all these people. Let's just send a couple of thousand over there to AI. We'll whoop them and we'll just go on our way. Yeah. Well, they showed up and got their butts kicked. 36 of them died. And so they come back to Joshua. And Joshua runs to God and falls on his face, and God says, you know, I'm ignoring you. Get up. Don't cry out to me. Go judge the people. It's like, whoa, man. There's like, man, you know, Joshua had an opportunity to be a leader, and what did he do? He wanted to just kind of stay and pray and just let God do it all. I mean, think about it, guys. For you that are leaders, sure. We all want to run to our prayer closet and just kind of find solace in God's presence, yes. But isn't it interesting? God says, Joshua, get up off your face. Don't you understand, son? You're the leader. They've got to have someone. Get out there. I know. Get out there. You can't. No, judge your people. Okay. I mean, and he's like flying off the seat of his pants. He's just saying, hey, tribe by tribe. And we know how that went where Achan, the man, when he reigned in Jericho, you see, Jericho was God's. Everything was God's in Jericho. It was the first. And may I remind you, this is a great lesson on tithing. Someone has said, which 10% belongs to God? If you read the Old Testament, guys, it's always the first 10%, not the last 10%. Okay? It's not about money. It isn't about money. Because if you go there, you're avoiding the real issue. Mathematically, I can give God the last 10%. It all makes human sense. What if you gave him the first 10% before you're sure about this? You see, and this is something for you. This is something for you to hammer out with God. This isn't about money. It's not about the church. It's not about offering. It's not about that. You know what? Until you really sell out and go in that direction, please try it and give it to another church. There. Now. What do you guys say about that? Seriously. Find another church. Give that 10% and sacrifice and give it to them. Until you realize that you have enough existence, you have enough experience, that you know how this works. So, Achan, He ran into Jericho and he took some gold and a Babylonian garment, and all of a sudden he's the reason they fell at Ai. You see, the struggle is this, is that when the book of Joshua is written, all of these places they talk about heaps of stone, but it's not just heaps of stone, it's memorials. And that's why we took a little time this morning to wander around and to share, this is my greatest success. And it was really cool. I saw some of you praying with each other. That's awesome. This is my greatest failure. It's like, oh man, I can't, some of us just want to stay isolated and not talk to anybody because it's like, I don't know these people. We know that. It's okay. It's okay. You see, all through Joshua, there's these memorials that are posted up. And what I've noticed is this: when the successes happen for Israel, these three words I see connected with it, and it's interesting. All the Israelites. It's almost as if when they act as one, God responds. And hey, let's just stay relevant. Can we flip over to Acts chapter 2? When the believers are in the upper room and they're all in one. When all the Israelites are of one mind, the Holy Spirit was given. Guys, if you will, would you please, I'll do the same, lay aside some of our differences and diversities and find out what holds us together. We all have a common history, we have a common enemy, and we have a common God. Isn't that enough? Jesus says, come unto me. He doesn't say come unto the creed. Which one? Come unto the doctrine. I don't know. Come into the theology. He says, hi, my name is Jesus. Come unto me. Guys, that's pretty singular. So, all the Israelites, they gathered together. It's just really awesome. Now as we jump into Joshua chapter 8, there's this place that once again it talks about the big mountains of rocks. Now this is the cool part. They lose against Ai. The people are judged. They mount back up, and they all come against. And it's all the Israelites who are involved in this. And the accomplishment of Ai is completely destroyed. The plunder goes to all the people. These are great days. And the king, everyone there, the king he's killed, and it says that all of Israel, they took stones and they covered the king by a big pile of rocks. And it even remains to this day. When they use that verbiage, which remains to this day, they're talking about when the book was written, historically, when it was written, they looked back and said, yeah, that big pile of rocks is still there. It was a memorial to remind them, and that's what I want you to do, is to remind yourself that the God of your past, the God that was faithful, the God that was strong for you when you were weak, He is the very same God that you have in the future. Your future is as bright as the promises of God. It really is. So, why is He doing this? Why? Because He's making them become people. That's it. They're becoming a people. They were in Egypt. They were lost. They were confused. And Moses writes the book of Genesis to reintroduce them to God. I mean, seriously, who do you think wrote the book of Genesis? Moses did. When did he do that? He did that in the Exodus. Why did he do it? To reintroduce the people. They had forgotten about God. They were slaves for 400 years. And He's bringing them out and He's saying, I want to introduce you to Allah. He's a great God. Let me explain how this all happened. And He writes Genesis because He wants these people to become a people. They want them to become singular in their purpose, their identity, their function. So how does He do it? Well, first of all, most of them would say that I'm a son of Abraham. He springboards off Abram. And as you look at this now, for you and I, these are just people, but if you'll just walk with me, I think we'll come to a conclusion that you're like, oh, that's cool. He probably did that. Yeah, he did do that. Joshua is being led by the Spirit. Even before Pentecost, he's being led by the Spirit to accomplish something within the people. And he does it through remembering. Remember Abram? Now, for us, Abram is something that I'll read, but for them, most of them knew it because they were being reintroduced to these patriarchs, these great men of faith. And the scripture says this, that Abraham, remember, Abram was in the northeastern of the promised land, and God calls Abram and says, Abram, I want you to leave your home. I want you to come follow me. And Abram's like, okay, God, I'll do that. I'll do that. And he brings his wife and his nephew and some others and some possessions. And the scripture says, Abram traveled throughout the land as far as the site of the great tree of Morah at Shechem. You remember the word Shechem. That's why we have a little different color, Shechem. At that time, the Canaanites were in the land, and the Lord appeared to Abram and said, to your offspring, I will give this land. So he built an altar. There's those pile of rocks again. You know, it's all throughout this. That this pile of rocks that's being brought up. That Abram, he builds an altar to the Lord who had appeared to him. This is the very first place that Abram builds an altar, and he builds it at Shechem because he made a memorial that up to this point God had blessed him, God had helped him, God was there for him. So he springboards off Abram, but he doesn't stop there. He presses all the way into Jacob. Jacob was Isaac's son, and Jacob was a hill grasper. Matter of fact, his name was changed to Israel because he was the father of sons and daughters and many other that would soon be the children of Abraham. That would be the names of all the tribes that would comprise the 12 tribes of the Promised Land. But with Jacob, listen to this thing. Then God said to Jacob, and this is from Genesis 35. This is just as Abram is before Joshua, so is Jacob before Joshua. You see, Joshua is standing there saying, guys, look to our past. This is the faithfulness of our God. Before we look to conquering the Promised Land, let's gain strength from looking at the past. So he draws from Jacob, okay? So we've talked about Abraham. Now we're going to talk about Jacob. And it says, then God said to Jacob, go up to Bethel and settle there and build an altar there to God who appeared to you when you were fleeing from your brother Esau. So Jacob said to his household and to all those that were with him, get rid of the foreign gods you have with you and purify yourself and change your clothes. Then come, let us go up to Bethel, where I will build an altar to God, who answered me in the day of my distress, who has been with me wherever I have gone. So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods they had, and the rings in their ears, and Jacob buried them under the oak at Shechem. And they set out, and the terror of God fell on the towns around them, so that no one pursued them. Pretty powerful, huh? You see, Jacob, historically, he ends up in Shechem, and by the way, it's at Shechem that he digs a well too. That we'll talk about later. But Jacob digs a well there at Shechem. He brings the people. He's worked with his uncle Laban. He hasn't made a lot of good choices, but God has blessed him in spite of himself. You can relate with that, can't you? Yeah, you can. Even if you don't know that. But we have this event where Jacob is being called out from that, and God is calling him to something, but he has to make a decision. He has to make a decision to go, just like Abram had to make a decision. God, you're telling me that if I continue to walk, if I follow you, that you'll give me this land and it will be given to my offspring. And he builds an altar to remind himself, this is a success. This is a moment that I am going to springboard and go forward. Jacob does the same thing. He says, guys, it's not just me, it's for everybody, if you will. Those of you who have brought foreign gods, they can't go any further than Shechem. They stop here. You've got to make a decision. Who are you going to go with? Are you going to go toward cursing, or are you going to go toward blessing? Which one are you going to go? And he demands the people, if you have this or this or this, which were things of paganness, if you would. Someone has said, "What's ringing?" It says ringing in rings in the ears, and I said, "Well, that's nice. That's when you have a ringing in your ears." But they didn't get it either, so it's okay. But so what you have this event that Jacob is taking them to a place of decision. Abraham was taken to a place of decision. You're gonna build a monument to your successes or a monument to your failures. One or the other. You're going to build something. Here in Joshua chapter 8, we have this event. Now for you and I, it's like, well, I don't see where you're going. Well, let me show you on this next slide. We've been talking about Shechem, right here. Shechem is a small town. That's where Abram went, and then Jacob showed up. Now, obviously, there's not all these houses. This is modern time, if you would. But biblical scholars say that Shechem was located here. Now, in the scriptures that we read, here it says, now this is Joshua. There, in the presence of the Israelites, Joshua wrote on stones a copy of the law of Moses. All the Israelites. And I want to call your attention to that, because this sense of unity has got to be a part. Guys, if everyone doesn't come, if everyone doesn't go further in their journey, are we really going? Call on all of you to take that next step. If the next step in your journey is to know Jesus, then start that quiet conversation. I'm not asking you to go out and buy some Bible or something. We'll give you one. But I'm just asking, be in the quietness of your own heart, make a determination that I'm going to take a step forward. I'm going to take a step forward with God. But the scripture continues that all the Israelites, with the elders and the officials and the judges, were standing on both sides of the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord, facing the Levitical priests who carried it. Both of the foreigners living among them and the native borns were there. Half of the people, half of the tribes, were in front of Mount Gerizim, and the other half was in front of Mount Ebal. Gerizim, Ebal. Matter of fact, if you look right here, there's better pictures. And right here, it is the world's largest amphitheater. If you want, do some research, and back in like 1879, before population like this impacted, that there's a mound here in the middle that someone was speaking loudly, hollering, we can say, and a person in each amphitheater could hear the person in the middle. So you have this event. Though in the scripture we read, it doesn't say that they gathered at Shechem. There's millions of people. Of course they didn't gather at Shechem. But they could feel this whole valley. And in the middle was the Ark of the Covenant. And the priests were there. What I'm pushing for is that this event is something that should stir us, that there is something that is being called, that we are called to make a decision. You're going to make a decision. You're going to make a decision. And all throughout this, hear the story in Joshua chapter 8, that Joshua is directing the people. He's bringing them back to draw strength from their own history to face the challenges of the future. You don't know what your tomorrow's hold. You don't know how difficult it's going to be, how complex it's going to be. But what you do know is what you've experienced in the past. Tell me, and tell yourself, tell me how faithful God has been. Tell me how many times He spoke to you. Tell me how many times He brought peace even when you didn't deserve it. Tell me how many times He came alongside you just to take away that awkward loneliness that crept into your soul, and it was like you were just there by yourself. Remember, how did you survive that? Eventually, maybe not at that moment, but eventually God's presence became very real and dear to you. You See, that's how faithful. And this woman, remember I told you it was, matter of fact, they say it right here. There's Jacob's well. They say it's up around here, whatever. Remember this. John chapter 4. Jacob's well. Jesus shows up at Jacob's well. Where? Right there by Shechem. And there's a woman that says, well, we worship there, or you worship there, and well, we don't know, but you know. And Jesus says, there's a day it won't be here or there, because the Father's looking for them that worship Him in truth and spirit. You see, there's an awareness that the decision that we have to make is this. The decision is, are you going to be faithful? Because God will give you strength in the decisions and the experiences that you've been a part of. There's a common history you have. We were all lost in sin. You may still be lost in sin. If you wanted a better word, maybe dysfunction. See, God created you to walk with Him, and you're walking away from Him. That's why it just doesn't work for you. Okay? Just doesn't. There's a common history. There's a common faith. Paul even said, he said, listen, there's only one faith. You can be in that denomination, that belief, whatever, but the fact is, there is but one God. There is but one. There's a common provision. Jesus says, listen, I am the way. And that's exactly what He meant to say. But we are all familiar with those common failures, where we chose to be disobedient. We chose to be slow to respond. We chose to walk the other way. There is a common identity that God is calling us to be His children. So, you have seen in your life both the monuments of faithfulness and the monuments of failures. You will decide one day, why not today? What do you want to build? Failures? And it's not based on me. I'm just saying, be who God created you to be. Don't look like me. Don't believe what I believe. Don't believe any of this. But what is your relationship with God? And then build on that. On the identity that He reveals. Matter of fact, He has begged you to come forward to Him, because He said this even in Isaiah before Jesus came. Jehovah, Yahweh, God says, come now, let us reason together. Well, when I get my life together, I'll come to God. He confronted that. Though your sins be like scarlet, they'll be white as snow. Even though they're red like crimson, they'll be white. They'll come like wool. Just being clean. They're all the sacrifice. And you know as well as I, when scarlet and crimson, what do you think Isaiah is thinking about? The high priest. Man, there's rivers of blood running off the Temple Mount down to the brook Kidron. And you want to know something? Read about it in the Bible. That's the creek that Jesus walks through when He goes to Gethsemane. Anybody ever smell coagulated rotten blood? Jesus, He's walking to Gethsemane, and the brook Kidron is carrying that. Profound. Not insight, just profound thought. That He sung. It says He sung a hymn as He went to Gethsemane. So, what I want to do is encourage you. Draw from your own experiences. How good has God been? Don't perform. Don't claim something you don't have. Please, be honest with yourself and say, oh, know this, that I don't know if I can say I love God, but at this point right now in my life, I believe that He is my highest aspiration, that He is the focal point of my desire, and I want Him more than I want my next breath. You're there. You're there. I don't care if your life is still strung out and broken in 1,000 pieces. If your focus is to love God like that, you're going to make it. You're going to make it. Matter of fact, Paul even says, even now, you're seated with Christ. Wow. So guys, I don't know where it all works for you. I don't know where you are in your journey, but it's my job. My job is to say, hey, these are some steps that you can take. First of all, we want you to know that you can connect with us. You can hang with us on Sunday, Saturday, throughout the week, whatever. We have small groups. We have YouTube. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. Just connect, will you? Connect with it long enough until you literally scratch your head and say, what do these people believe? Then we'd like to encourage you to connect at another level, and that is have some learning opportunities. We have cards back there. Cards look just like this. Imagine that. And check them off and put your name, and when those classes become available, we'll send you an email or a text saying, hey, just want to let you know we're going to be starting Alpha. You know, and we'll just keep you in the loop. Or maybe you're saying, you know what, I've taken some of those classes. I'm pretty good with it. I just wonder what's the next step. It could be maybe the opportunity that you're looking at is an opportunity to serve. There's a bunch of clipboards out there, and as those opportunities open up, we're going to call people and ask them to would you come and serve? And we'll train you. We'll walk with you. We'll hopefully get some better ideas that you bring to the table to say, hey, I think we can do this better if we do it this way. It's like, hey, great. So what we want to do is we just want to say, what is the land in front of you? Come and possess that land. What is it? What's God calling you to? Let us be your cheerleader. Give me a set of pom-poms. I'll cheer you on. Just go do it. Go do it for God. Come on, He's worthy. He's worthy. Maybe the land is just a land of sameness. Come on, some of us can relate with that. Just somehow, just where the storms stop and you have a moment of clarity. And life just for a moment makes sense. Listen, there are some words. If any of these words speak to you, you say, man, yeah, my lower back's killing me. Listen, we want to encourage you to come forward and receive prayer. All right? Maybe this is the day that you want to start your journey with Jesus. You know what? It's just this easy. Just if you would, you don't have to close your eyes, but for me, sometimes it's more comfortable to close my eyes and say, Jesus, I love you, forgive me. I want to know you. Best prayer you'll ever pray. Because it flows from a heart sincere. The Bible says that God will in no wise cast out a heart that is broken. A sincere spirit, He loves that. No pompousness. Well, you've done a pretty good deal with me, God. God will snub His nose at you, and you will know what it is to be cold-shouldered from God. But if you come with a humble heart, He will in no wise cast you out. Come on and welcome you to the family. And that's what we want. So, Father, we love you. Thank you for the awesomeness of our God. Father, I ask that you would bless these thoughts. May it lodge into the heart, and as we go our way, Father, I pray that the light of God will burst on us, and we will know what it is to experience God. Draw us close to you, keep us near you, and may we understand more of what you call us to in your name. Amen. Lord bless you guys. Have a great week. Don't forget, 2 o'clock today, leadership.